Hello, Sagittarius. How's everybody doing today? I hope that your day is off to a great start, or your evening, depending on where you're watching me. And today we've got some magical messages coming forth. A lot of energy around change, rebirth. Shifting is basically the main thing, like shape shifting, energy shifting, and movement. And it's time to wake up to, just like Apollo was yawning there. This is really an awakening month for all of you. So let me introduce myself if you're brand new. My name is Nicholas. This is my dog, Apollo. And today we're going to be looking at Sagittarius. You can use it for sun, rising, and moon. And the way that I organize this is that it can work for the next 6 to 8 weeks. So it gives you a good opportunity to get everything set up. You have a lot of free will, and I'm here to kind of help you get things moving in the right direction. Like I said, you can use it for sun, rising, moon, and Venus. If you happen to know other aspects of your chart, you can also use it for that. And let's talk a little bit about how I set up the reading, and then we'll get started. So the reading is set up in a few major parts. I begin with channeled messages, which I've written down on the table in front of me here. And basically that comes through in dreams, meditation, free writing, and then also the research that I'm inspired to do as I kind of look at all of those messages. So I use spirit totems and my own intuition to channel additional messages besides the tarot cards, which come in part 2. Part 2 with the tarot cards, it's basically a Celtic Cross. I do not theme it like other readers. It's not going to just be about love or career or your ex or anything like that. It's just going to be about you and what I need to pick up on for you in this moment in time. And then we will expand the forecast to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny afterwards, to put some lenses on that I know that we all care about. But the main part of it needs to be sort of like a temperature check or pulse check to see where you're at. Then we'll do a mini review and go into the soul path, where we can dig a little deeper into either big opportunities or some of the potential blocks that could be coming through for you. And then after that, we're going to take a look at basically a quick meditation, and then a final question that you might have for me. So the final question, the silent question, is one that you just intuit, that you psychically send to me, and then I pick up on that using the cards and my own intuition. So that's the overall way that I'm organizing it. Then just a couple of other quick notes and we'll get started. If you have any major questions today, Maria is my moderator. She can help out with answering those. And if you want to show support for what you see here, I'm using a newer deck that I've been kind of peppering into a few readings lately, the Afro Goddess Tarot here. But I have a bunch of new ones that I've been using over the past month, and a direct result of that is, or I should say that's a direct result of your support. So if you want to show support, you can use super stickers, super chat, which is right here next to the emojis. For those of you that want to join, you can become a member. You actually get extra stickers or extra emoji rather, that you can use. And also when I do a Q&A or when I ask for feedback on like the bonus readings, you can vote on that. I do a members only post. Same thing goes for anyone that joins me on Patreon. For more information on all of that, you can go to my website, and I pinned the link up above. Also, if you like what you see here, hit the thumbs up, and also subscribe if you haven't done that before. It's a great way to show support and help the channel grow and help with engaging. And basically, engagement helps. That's how YouTube serves it up to other people. You can also join me on social media. All right, we'll talk more about that at the mid or latter point of the reading. I just wanted to give you some information about me and how to find me. Okay. Your totems today, you have 2 of them, are the birch tree and the snake. And when I was starting to kind of channel that, I was like, I wonder why these are related. And a lot of times I have to do the research to figure out the direct connection between them. But what I found out is that they both have the ability to like shed their skin. So let's talk about the birch first and foremost. It's a beautiful tree. There's a lot of different varieties here, but you can see one of the defining features is that beautiful kind of like silvery or white bark that it has. And in fact, one of the things that it does is that it peels. And that's a really cool sort of technique that it has to get rid of any lichen, which is basically something that will grow on top of it and block out the sun. This is a type of tree that can actually photosynthesize through the trunk. Not necessarily all trees do that, but when it sheds its bark, it opens up some of the younger bark to be able to photosynthesize. So there's actually a reason that it peels. It gets rid of the old stuff that's growing on the outside, any moss or lichen or kind of barnacle type stuff there, and then it allows a little bit of the light to come in. I thought that was really cool. And this happens as the trees grow, just like a snake. It has to expand. And then your second symbol today is the snake, but in particular, I'm going to talk a little bit about I think I'm saying it right, Ouroboros. It's this sort of symbol of a snake that eats its own tail, which you see a lot in different texts, ranging from Egypt to Nordic mythology to also even like Indian Kundalini, sort of, it's all the sort of same energy. And you see this throughout a lot of old texts, and we'll talk a little bit about the snake symbology as well. Okay. So two symbols, strangely related. I don't ask until I sort of dig in and do my homework here before I start the show. And that's just as a fun fact. I don't just like come on and talk. I usually work for about an hour to an hour and a half before the show begins here. And I talk to everybody. So that's where I kind of make sense of what we're going to talk about here in this first portion. And I also bring a lot through like dreams or what I pick up on the night before. All right. So birch tree and snake, two different totems, related, and they're going to help you through basically periods of change and growth right now. And birch trees, like I said, they're recognizable by the white bark on their trunks, and also that it peels off and comes off in little strips, which oddly enough is a chance for them to photosynthesize and also get rid of stuff on the outside. So nothing's wrong with the tree when it's shedding. It's actually a process of growth. You're probably at a new precipice this month where you either are in a fork in the road or like you're at the top of this journey and you have to figure out, am I going to take that leap of faith? Am I going to do something different? You might need to shed either an old belief system, something that limits you from your parents or society, or that you created on your own. And it could also be sort of like fear itself, which could be holding you back. When I'm thinking about this card, or when I'm thinking about this sort of symbol, there's a lot of different cards in tarot that come through. Let me get to those in just a second. They're all connected to this idea of a paradigm shift, which is basically a whole entirely different way of thinking. And in fact, thinking bigger beyond any of the limits. It's more ironic and satirical. There's a song by Peter Gabriel, Big Time. But one of the lyrics in there is that the people from his hometown use small words and small thoughts. The song is actually a commentary on materialism, so it's not perfectly aligned to what I'm talking about today. But what I liked about the one thing that if you listen to the song, the narrator was trying to do was to think bigger. He thought too big in that song and went ridiculous to the other extreme. We just want to take a shift in the other direction and think of like in a curiosity way, like what's possible? Let me not limit myself. What if I could do this? What if I could reach for that? And then sometimes we surprise ourselves. You have to do the work. You can't just kind of just have the big thought. You have to do the big work with it as well. So the birches are known as a pioneer species. I hadn't even heard of this. Due to their ability to grow in land either destroyed by fire or that maybe hasn't been colonized or doesn't have any life. So they spread pretty quickly. And to me, when I started to combine this symbol with all the different things that I learned, I thought, okay, so birch is like the Ace of Pentacles. It's a new seed or a new beginning. It's like the Fool, the explorer. It goes into territories or spaces where something hasn't been before. I like that. It's also the Judgment card because it rises from the ashes. So if land has been destroyed by fire or there's nothing else growing there, it feels like you could put this here and it starts to basically starts to thrive. So if there's something that can grow in areas where other things can't, that's a good thing. It doesn't grow everywhere, though. I should, for the botanists out there, it has a shallow root system. So I don't think it does well where there's drought or whatever, but in a temperate climate, if something else isn't growing there, this probably would grow there. Again, I only have an hour to do all my research on that, but I do remember that piece, shallow root system. That's one thing that I could add to what you and I could do this month if you're in the sign of this, if you're Sagittarius. One thing you want to be focusing on is putting down deeper roots, really trying to ground yourself in purpose and feel strong about what you're doing. So if you can believe it, then other people can. But if you can't, you want to ground your own belief first and foremost, okay? Next piece. In my dreams, the way I picked this totem was I saw something pushing through what looked like it was an old deserted building or something in disrepair, but it was pushing through floor after floor after floor. It was like coming up through areas where the floorboard had fallen away, and it just was eventually going through the house, which was kind of cool. So the building needed like some work. And I feel like for some of you, there may be parts of your life represented by the stories or the floors in the house that need to be either like parts of your life need to be jump-started, repaired, or you're going to put some more time and energy into fixing it. And now is the time for all of that, basically. And the tree symbolizing that ace that's pushing through. It could be both an Ace of Pentacles and also Ace of Wands, because what is Wands? But it's like a tree branch, right? So both aces would work here. And they all kind of go together, all the aces. So you're going to have to kind of figure out what you want. It's like the magician, right? The magician has one of everything in front of him. So he's working with a bunch of aces. So I picked one, but you could use any of the aces that feel good to you. But basically, I see a breakthrough happening with work, with attention to the areas that need to be fixed, etc. Okay? And then basically for the next quarter of year, because this can be 6 to 8 weeks, so it could extend even a little bit past that, I see expansion on the horizon. Roll up your sleeves and do the work. That's the one thing that I definitely think is important to all of this. And then you'll start to see some shifting and some changes happen in your life. So there you go. Birch trees are beautiful. They brought some really great symbols of growth, renewal, shedding an old skin, shedding an old belief, and basically pushing through. That was the main sort of thing that I got from the birch. The next thing that I'm picking up on was, again, the snake. And we'll talk about a couple of things about the snake, and then particularly that symbol that I showed you earlier. The snake is showing inner power and strength. It gets a bad rap a lot of times, but I see snakes as being very strong and powerful and usually auspicious, depending on the placement in a dream or, again, if I'm pulling cards. What do they symbolize? Rebirth and immortality. They symbolize transformation, growth and expansion, and then also this sort of creative driving force that we all have. So it's strong, it's powerful. What I was showing you before, I'll pull another picture of that up here, the Ouroboros. It's actually a Greek word, and like most Greek or Latin words, you can break the roots down. And basically, if you take the two pieces, it means like tail eater, Ouroboros. So that's kind of cool to know. And you can see some of the symbols here. Like one of them is in the Book of Kells. The other one is in, let's see, we've got some engravings in some different, like they can be protective symbols. You'll see that this appears throughout history in many different places. The other one is also in ancient Egypt, which I thought was really interesting as well. So this goes way back before Common Reckoning, before Christ. It's a long time ago, old symbol, ancient symbol. All right, so let's talk a little bit about it. It's a world serpent in Nordic mythology, kind of like wrapping around the world. It's in the tomb of King Tut, and it describes the journey of Ra in the underworld, where it kind of functioned as a protective symbol. And it also appears in some Vedic texts as like Kundalini, something that I learned about when I was studying Kundalini, which is this coiled up energy. Starts at the base of our spine and kind of goes to the top of our crown. And basically we have this ability to expand. So if you have any kind of an awakening this month, especially something like that, you will need to meditate. You will need to take care and really focus on finding where your energy starts and where other people's starts or ends. You're going to need to focus on boundaries in that particular instance. One thing that I liked about this is you control your own cycles. We look at that and it's kind of like an infinity, right? But it's just a circle. So a circle or figure eight, it's basically showing things going like no end, no beginning. So make sure that you're moving forward, I would say, and not just consuming your own energy, because one of the things that snake's doing is consuming itself on some levels. Uncoil your true potential and try something new, because it's kind of just feeding off of something that's worked before, but it's just going in a circle. So we want to actually uncoil that and go somewhere else, or like Kundalini, go upward. So this is a chance for you to expand and to stop kind of like feeding off of something that maybe isn't actually allowing for expansion to happen. So I like it as a power symbol. I love that it shows the immortality and all those other things, but I also like to not see a snake eating itself. That's also not ideal. Say things you'd like to hear, and this has nothing to do with my research. This is my own intuition as I looked at the symbol. Say things that you'd like to hear or would like to have others say. Otherwise, if you say words that you don't like, you might have to eat those words, just like the snake is eating what it puts out there. So elevate your speech. And what I mean by that is, if what you have to say is neither constructive nor kind, restate it. Don't say it until you can find a way that it can be kind, constructive, or adding somehow to the narrative. So nothing sarcastic, nothing cruel, nothing that is just sort of like gossip. It needs to, criticism is fine as long as there's a constructive element to it, as long as there's some sort of higher purpose. So that's the piece of advice there. Otherwise, be prepared for some of that stuff to ricochet back. Flexibility is great. This is one of the really cool things that I see whenever I look at a snake. I think for you, it's going to be necessary. And in fact, you know, we don't always see point A to point B having to be like a straight line. Sometimes when you take that winding path, you get to experience fun things along the way. A new acquaintance that you wouldn't have met, a new experience that can redefine something that you're interested in. It's just a chance to really sort of discover. That's the journey of the Fool. It's not always straight and narrow. Sometimes it's winding. Sometimes winding's a lot more fun. Keep your eyes and ears open. Things may be moving in the shadows. This is where we will take the warning of a snake and embrace it. Particularly what I see is that there could be someone or something that's kind of like going on around you. And as long as you tune into it, you can sort of say, I see you. Don't do that. So I've been seeing a lot of like 7 of Swords and 5 of Swords popping up over the course of the readings that I've done so far. So half a dozen or so. And I would say this month, what you have to do is counter that or transmute that with your light, with your insight, with your own strength and power. You're thinking of like the Strength card, and just face any challenge. You can do it. And a lot of times these things come in to just sort of test us and to tempt us and to taunt us. And so you just basically are going to show that you're not fodder for that. That you're like, I'm not. Try someone else. This isn't going to work with me. Not now, not ever. And that's all that you need to transmute it, because you have the same power of the snake. You're just using it differently. You can go in the shadows, or you can shine, and you can use that Kundalini energy and rise up. And then this was interesting, and I didn't know quite what to make of it, but I saw this sort of energy of death and rebirth, and sort of like a meeting of you and your soul. So what if you approach the month ahead kind of as this weird combination of like a birthday and a wake, because you're birthing a new version of yourself and you're kind of mourning an old version of yourself as well. And this is what any change in your life is. Marriage, when you're saying the vows and you're up there, you know, whether it's City Hall or, you know, in front of some sort of, you know, a priest, rabbi, etc. You are in that moment, you're saying goodbye to the old you and hello to this new union. But there's a reason that there's a celebration associated with that, because you need to sort of like, you need some support. You want your friends and family around you, and you are. And so like we have birthdays, we have funerals, we have marriages, and then there's other points in our life, like starting a new job, moving away from or into a new house, moving in or out of a relationship, all of these things, divorces as well. It's a celebration. It's also mourning. A piece of you is gone. A new piece of you is stepping in. And so that's what I see is like a wake and a celebration. So combine the two, and it can be, nothing bad has to happen. It happens all the time is what I'm trying to say. We don't have to wait for the initial birth and death of a person to have that combination of things happening. We go through births and deaths, usually simultaneously throughout our life, several different punctuated points. So you have one coming up over the next 3-month period, a combination. So it can be bittersweet, but there's a sweet part to it, and that's what we want to focus on. I had a symbol come through yesterday, which was the a scarab beetle. This particular one eats fruit, and so that's what I was getting with that. Same sort of reincarnation, rebirth energy with the scarab beetle, and also something that traces itself back to Egypt. So we have a lot of Egyptian symbols that have been coming through in the past couple of days, and a lot of death, rebirth, and new beginnings. One thing that I've been seeing across all signs is movement and moving. We'll see if it happens for you. Lots of towers, lots of worlds, lots of fools have been coming through in the different spreads. So let's see what this month has in store for you. I'm going to turn the camera down. I'll be quiet for a moment as I pull all the cards. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see you. If you just joined, perfect timing. You can always watch these on replay, by the way. So if you ever miss anything, just just stick around and you can watch the rest later. There's that Ace of Wands. And we also have Death at the center, which makes sense. There's your World. There's the Five of Swords. I like the Three of Pentacles. Got some good stuff this month. Great stuff, actually. And a lot of similar cards, again, have been pulled through all the different readings, so I find it interesting to see the commonalities for those of you that watch a few of my readings. You have a double High Priestess here because we have the Oracle there, which is really cool. The grounding messages here as well. So we see a lot of synchronicities in your expanded forecast. That's just the universe having fun with me. All right, so we have synchronicities as well. Okay, so synchronicities, even when I'm saying the word synchronicity, got pulled up. All right, let's talk about what's coming through for you. Let's start with your Catalyst card. We have Divine Feminine Energy with the Mother card. The cool thing with whenever I work with the circular deck, this is one of the few that I kind of like put up with the shuffling of, because circular decks aren't fun to shuffle, but there's some cool imagery on this. It's the same author that makes the Wild Unknown. It's these alchemic symbols. If I can remember later, I'll put it up. But anyway, this is the Mother, and it's actually the beginning of this particular Oracle deck. So new beginnings. The Ace is here. So I kind of see both symbols that I saw, like an ace or a seed in the egg, and then we saw the wand. Those are the two aces that came to me visually, and they came up in the cards too. So with the seed, with an egg, with the Ace of Pentacles, which I see this being, you have a chance to nurture something. I've been talking about birds a lot too, and chicks and little babies here. So you're right in alignment with what I've been seeing over the past 3 readings. So a lot of synchronicities and a lot of common symbols here. So for you, it's still in the egg portion. So I would say there's something that you are looking at, considering putting more energy into, and there's encouragement to do so here. Also, lest I forget, and it gives me chills a little bit. Look at this. We've got the Ouroboros there, right? You see the snake? I didn't see it initially, but we see a kind of maybe a few snakes coiled. Then we have just an egg. I wasn't sure if it was more than one. It's just one egg and then the nest here. But there's a snake right there around it. So all the symbols that we talked about this morning are present here, except the birch tree. But we have a grounding one as well. So whatever you have, protect it. The fact that we have a snake around the egg tells me that there could be someone in your life that is jealous about where you are, what you're doing. And instead of using you as a source of inspiration, they may try to come in and trigger you so that you don't achieve what you're supposed to be doing. They may try to take something. You're stronger than that. You're aware, you're awake, and you're not going to let this bother you. But it is annoying when somebody exhibits that behavior. You, as a heightened energetic being, are also going to work against any sort of self-defeating thoughts where you see someone else succeeding and think, why is that happening? Why won't it happen for me? Instead, you're going to think, wow, I'm so glad that I know this person. It inspires me. I'm in their orbit, which means I'm capable of doing the same. Let's get to work this month, rolling up the sleeves and getting the work done. So be inspired. Don't be jealous. And you can say that to someone else too. Just be inspired, put the work in, and understand that each of us on a karmic level, like through many lifetimes, have opened up windows that the other person may not understand. So you may have already done the work 300 times over, and that's why you're where you are. You've earned this opportunity. So assume that the same is true of someone else. If it seems like they got there faster, they may have worked their butt off in a past lifetime. So you never know the full story, the biggest picture, not just this lifetime, but the soul work that's been done. And just do the work on yourself. You're the mother, you're the queen, you're the divine feminine energy here, okay? So I like what I see. I think this is great energy. And that's the only warning there, is to protect that which you've started to create and build, okay? We've got death right at the center. I talked about like a wake and a funeral. So death can be literal. It can be the loss of someone or something, but it can also be a choice. I want to step away from this. And I love this death card because we see in her garb, basically the Ankh symbol from Egypt, which I've done more research on. It's not just power, it's death and rebirth and eternal life, which is why you would see the gods carry it, because they are immortal. And the message here to you, and the reason that Andrea, who designed this deck, probably chose this, is it's a reminder of the cyclical nature and also the eternal nature of the soul. So look at your cycles right now. What do you want to continue? What do you want to break? And understand that you're never at a full stop. It's always a semicolon. So take that period and put a comma underneath it. You've got a semicolon. It's a pause. You're going to connect something else to it, for my language geeks out there. And this is not an ending. It's just a chance to basically redefine and add on, okay? So that's what this death symbol is showing. And even if you have lost someone or something or a part of your life or self, it's opening up space for development to happen. Shedding of a skin is what this death card is about. And then we have the celebration on top of it, the King of Cups. So this was the wake and the birthday that I was talking about, right? So King of Cups here, or God of Cups, is really about finding something to look forward to celebrate, to embrace. And for some of you, in order to become this, you have to let go of something else. So, you know, someone in your life may expect you to be someone, and you're going to say, no, I'm this. So maybe I've talked about this a lot, but like choosing a new path, or choosing a partner of your choice, or choosing something that brings you passion and joy, even if that brings someone else a sense of frustration, because either they couldn't get it in their life, or they don't want you to have it, or they think you should be doing something else. You are, listen, you're a king or a queen, because we've got the court card here. So when are you going to just take that back, take that power back? This is your time to do just that, okay? This is also love. This is a celebration. This is a good change. If we just look at it on a much different level, change amplified by joy, all right? So whatever changes are happening, they are for the best and the highest good. Trust in that, okay? And if there's a new love that comes into your life, there's a little bit of healing that needs to be done, but I also feel like this could be auspicious. So let's dig a little deeper into the cards here and see what other messages come through. We have the Nine of Cups in the deep past. And I just want to look at the death card again. So what's cool about this is she's in Trikonasa pose, which is basically the tree pose, which makes sense. Again, aligning to the Birch energy that we saw. The card is reversed. So when this card is upside down, it's still a good card. Usually Nine of Cups is showing that you look at the good stuff in life. You try to do your best. You try to please. But when it's reversed, it's sort of this frustration, like, why isn't this happening the way I thought it would? Again, maybe there could be jealousy, maybe there could be something else going on. It can also be a punctuated period where normally you're very happy, but all of a sudden something is going on. This change that we see at the center can throw us into a spin. I remember it's been a while, it's been about 7 years, but when my father passed initially, there was maybe like 6 months or so afterwards where, because I was busy and you compartmentalize grief differently. So sometimes you would just feel a sense of sadness and it would come out of nowhere. And I'm not a sad person. But when you cut the bond between a partner, a pet, a child, any of these things in your life, you're feeling the loss of the connection, because there are cords that are cut. You're still connected in the heart. You're still connected up here. But what you sometimes feel is that missing piece are the cords that have been pulled away. So for those of you where something moved out, again, it could be change of job, relationship status, death of a loved one. All of these constitute the change that we could see with death. It could also be a decision to try something else, but you have to move in order to do that, for instance. then you're going to feel this punctuated high and low. It's slightly unnerving. It's not balanced. So the Two of Pentacles or Six of Pentacles would come in to make you make a choice here. Two of Pentacles would say, what do you want to do? Six of Pentacles would remind you to say no, to not spread yourself too thin. That's how I would alleviate the Nine of Cups, is to pull back a little bit on how much I was giving, to take care of myself a bit, to honor what I'm feeling, and to figure out what's triggering that so that I could balance it out. And that's all you're looking for, is balance with this, okay? It doesn't have to be the best or worst day. It has to be somewhere in between. It could be a really good day. It could be a day that's not your favorite. It could be just an average day. We have really great days and we have days that try us, but we don't want to stay too long here or too long here, because it can kind of pull us off our center of gravity. And that's why she's trying to find it here. You need to ground yourself when you're in a Nine of Cups moment. Don't beat yourself up if you make a mistake, by the way. This can sometimes be a symbol of a perfectionist or a recovering perfectionist. The whole reason that we're on this planet is to keep learning. If we were perfect, we'd probably be an evolved soul that's helping others, but we're still here, we're still learning. Nobody is perfect. But you're doing a really good job of opening up intuitively. We see the High Priestess coming through, validating what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what's coming through. So I think that if you just start to focus now on doing better in the future, that's all she's saying. So we see her sitting on like the book of knowledge or book of life and all the sort of stories of your past. Tap into that ancient knowledge that you have. I like that we also see, look at her crown. What is it? But it's the snake, right? That was one of the symbols of Egypt as well. But instead of, usually there would be a solar disc on that one. We kind of have like more of a lunar disc on this one, which makes sense. We have like a full moon and then we have like a crescent down there. So I want you to pay attention to messages that are coming through in dreams, in meditations, and the subtle thoughts that we receive during the day. The universe, I've said this before in my intuitive development series, which is still on my YouTube channel if you want to look at it. But I think that the spirit in general speaks in a whisper. It doesn't use a megaphone. It's not like what you see on TV. You usually receive whispers of things you should do. And it can come as a persistent thought. It can come in a dream as a fragment. It can come just as this kind of like an epiphany that comes to you out of nowhere. It's all intuition. So honor it and know that you're receiving all the time. You're wide awake right now if you're willing to see what's going on. That's why I saw the snake and I'm to just look around. You've received the symbols and the signs, pay attention and act upon them. You should be all right, okay? High Priestess is great, creative, awake, aware, and also able to manifest or manipulate in a positive way. So she's upright, so it's not manipulating, but it's more sort of like opening up, if you will. There's magic with that card. And it's an elevated magician. That's why it comes as step 2, where the magician's 1. So you've learned the lessons and now you believe in yourself. You believe in the magic too. You're not just playing around with all the stuff. You know what to do. So in this case, you are, with this, it's about working the magic for your own better good and for your own life and opening up your own growth. It's not a selfish sort of magic. It's sort of like growth, expansion, knowledge. And now we have the Ace of Wands here in your crowning position, representing for me where your head space is. So ideation, you're receiving things that are coming from the divine. That's why we see in aces this divine hand offering. So are you ready to do something with what you are receiving? That's the question here. Because if so, great things await. This is upright, which tells me that if you put your energy into these things, you're going to start to feel more vitality, more inspiration this month. So yeah, let's get busy. Let's start working, right? Okay. So we have the Three of Swords here. And the Three of Swords in the near future is, look at how there's so many snakes everywhere today. Snakes and yeah, it's funny. They're all over this spread. So with this, there's a chance for you to start to heal, right? And with this healing for you, it's really a chance for you to decide, am I willing to move on, or do I want to hold on to something? So am I going to let go of this thing from the past, or am I going to hold a grudge, or am I going to focus solely on this being the only way for me to exist? So I would say healing requires release. If I have to just like sum up where my mental space is going, I would say it's time to let go. And there's a little bit of healing that needs to come in, but guess what we got in the outcome if you do that? The Supreme, which is beyond all the cards. This is the next level. So you have next level opportunities coming through for you. And all that's necessary for you is to go into a part of your life where maybe there's a little bit of healing from the past. One thing that I was picking up on was father energy. I mean, I mentioned him here not accidentally. Some of you may have some old wounds between maybe an older brother, an uncle in your life, a father, some sort of male energy, or someone that identifies as male, and they're coming through. Just you can heal that relationship a little bit. Let's put it that way. Also, maybe you with your children as well. So this is a chance to just sort of better that. And I often talk about this, that messages absolutely go through to spirit once that person's passed. You can keep doing the work with a relative that's no longer here on the planet. In fact, they're better listeners because they don't have a choice. Everything you say is going through. So try to elevate that speech. Remember, you want to receive something that you would like to also, or you want to send something that you would like to receive. So if that person has to hear it all, make sure that some of it's nice. It's not just criticism. It's not just complaining. But if you need to say stuff, get it out, especially if the person never listened to you. Now is your chance. And this is the opportunity for healing to take place. Okay, so we have the expansion coming through that I saw earlier here with the World card. And this is in your ego this month. The world is reversed. And so for some of you, a rapid change could be coming through and you're having to decide, do I want to take it or do I want to leave it? It's a window of opportunity. What I like about this particular one is that it's almost like she has a couple of batons there, or a couple of wands. I feel like you can make this whatever you want it to be. We also see roses around her, and it almost looks like a butterfly, but they're just roses here. But I believe that just like a rose bush, every opportunity has thorns and blossoms, right? So you have to look at the thorns associated with whatever this changes, and as long as there's more blossoms than thorns, it's probably worth it. And that's what I'm seeing with all the roses that are around this particular world card. But it's time to move on. This is definitely a card of moving. If you're looking to move, you're ready to move. The other thing with the world card, for those of you that are in business, this indicates expansion. So you may sell a business, you may be bought out by another business. If you're a worker, this means that there's a chance to sort of transfer or move. It could mean that you've outgrown where you're at and you need to find something that allows you to stretch out more and be your true self. As an aspect of your personality, or actually, I'm sorry, one more thing for business. If you're small business, this is about distribution, dissemination, publishing. If you're trying to get published, this is a good sign too. If it's a good time to share, but make sure that you are getting equal rights in this because the world is reversed. So that's one thing. As an aspect of yourself, there's just, at a certain point, you can't stop change. We've got death in the center. We've got world in your ego. We've got the Supreme card and the outcome. So this is saying the change has happened or is happening at present. You can't stop it. And in fact, it's here for your betterment. So the sooner you can connect to this, it's very similar. Your reading's very similar to Scorpio in that respect. The sooner that you can kind of like hug the energy of change, the better. Here's what I was talking about with the Ouroboros, eating your words. This has come up a lot in this particular deck and in the past month or two. So we have the Five of Swords, and precisely what I was talking about. The words that you put out come right back to you. And the energy that you put out comes back to you. It may not come back in the same magnitude, but it comes back. So you want to make sure that you're elevating stuff. This is around you, though, so it doesn't necessarily have to be you. But if there's someone around you, a friend, a love interest, somebody that you trust, and they're acting up a little bit, get out of that situation, walk away from that. It may be time to move on, too, because this card is connected to it. That person isn't putting the work in. We have a wonderful Three of Pentacles right above this, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But this person could be pulling you away from that. And so you can't win with the Five of Swords. I think you probably know that. Or if you win, you lose, because you end up saying too much or hurting yourself and hurting that person. It's better to get someone else involved, walk away, or just tell this person, this isn't worth my time and energy, and move on. Because why? You're the queen bee here. I kind of like this, the way this is set up. We have what looks to me like a beehive, right? We have you here and people working to connect to you. You're the queen bee. So I like that. The card is reversed, so maybe nobody's told you this before, that you have the capacity to be recognized as someone powerful, as someone that can really create the changes that they want in their life. Three of Pentacles is graduation, success, recognition. It's a really good card for showing me something's finished. It can also represent going to higher education, like college, university, or getting a trade skill that you can use for something else. Whatever you're doing, it's worth the investment. And there's also just sort of like an acknowledgement with this particular card that, again, you're already capable of being the queen bee. The recognition needs to happen. If you're in an environment, whether it's love or work or something else, and the person around you tries to like spin webs about why you're not this, there's a problem there. So, because I think you're doing the work. This is in possibilities, by the way. So for many of you, there's still work to be done, but I see the potential looking pretty solid. But you have to believe in the potential, and you have to keep working on that potential. And then people are going to start to see you in a different light. You're redefining yourself. It's the Writer's card. So the Three of Pentacles, when I read for people, there are two cards that would come up for writers: Eight of Pentacles and Three of Pentacles. 8 is showing beginnings and revisions. 3 is showing me something really solid. So I see something really solid either in your sort of Akashic record, like in the cards, or something that you're starting to finish up, but you have to put the finishing touches. In a traditional Rider-Waite version, although I love this, I always like to go back to the original symbols, you would see someone kind of like with a chisel that is perfecting this archway. There's this, basically, I guess it would be like an architect or a crafts person, but they're putting on the finishing touches, and a couple of other people are looking at it and thinking, looks good, keep at it. And that's basically what this card is saying. Looks good, keep at it, and there's people that are interested in whatever it is that you have to offer, okay? And this is really nice because it feels like some of you may have had this period of rejection, disappointment, or you might have just broken up or gotten some bad news. So when I was getting that bitter sweet energy, that's what this has to do with: a loss and a bigger gain because of that loss or that separation. And then we have the Supreme card here, which in this particular deck would be a culmination of the journey of the Fool to the world. So it's everything. And it just is telling me now that timing is more within your control than you think. You're the elevated version of the Magician and High Priestess. And now you have more patience, because for those of you that are older, you realize through time that getting upset doesn't always solve stuff, that you have a lot more power and capability if you just sort of, you have the ability to let things kind of unfold. So there's that patience that's coming through this month. But when we look at this, what do we have? Not just one pentacle, we have the Three of Pentacles, not just an ace, but the Two of Cups. And then we have both the Ace of Swords and the Ace of Wands here. And so I like what I'm seeing. There is a chance for partnership on the horizon. There is a chance for advancement, or taking that Three of Pentacles to the next stage, which I like. And then you have the capacity to do more than that. Okay, so this is cool. I like what I see here. Just looking at the time here, we have, I think she's pointing to 11. Because it's up in the corner here. So it looks like she's on 11. So for some of you, this could be looking at like towards November, right? So it feels like your timing is setting you up for a really nice end of the year. Keep focusing on that and know that there's a window that's coming through the latter part of this year. Okay. Also, she's holding the hourglass there. It's hard to see because of, there you go, there's the hourglass. So it's understanding how important time is. She's also, you can see she has all the symbols of everything, including the Ankh here. So this is just really about bringing forth all those things, and you can move the needle forward whenever you want to. I like that. What a great card to have in the outcome. Looks great. I saw a couple questions here. This can be used for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus, and other aspects of your chart. And it's already a free reading. Someone was saying, do I do free readings? You're right here. Welcome. All right. Looking at your expanded forecast: health, wealth, love, and destiny. Looking at health first, which is your mind, your body, and your spirit. We have the earth and grounding energy here. So it says earth and ground. The card was reversed, which is showing me that for some of you, there's a need or a suggestion to ground yourself a little bit more. Paying special attention to lower chakras. So your first, second, and third. Your first, which is going to help you with feelings of security and safety. And the second, which is expression. It's also the sensual nature and sexual nature in relationships, making sure that that's where it needs to be. And then your Solar plexus, which is where you find your power. These are the energies that need special attention this month. They're also the parts of the body, basically working from the base of the spine right here to the belly, that could be needing a little bit of work. And actually the root would extend all the way to the feet. So basically giving the lower portion of your body the love and support that it deserves. A lot of you that may be standing on your feet all day if you work in a service job, or if you're sitting too much and you're compressing your spine, that's a message there, is to take care of that part of your body through stretching and through resting appropriately. Getting an adjustment as well if you need to do something with a chiropractic adjustment. But we're looking at the lower part of your spine for this, not the higher part. But this can affect all the rest of your body. So knees, ankles, and the lower part of your spine around the tailbone, these are areas that I would give special attention to. Also, if you've been having some issues, particularly with like power, it can manifest in weird areas. It can be indigestion. It can go into like the colon. It can also be bladder and reproductive. There's a lot that's kind of packed into chakras 1, 2, 3. So take care of yourself. Gut health especially is important this month. Stress management overall will be important in the long run. This Three of Swords can show in the future, like hypertension, stress, blood pressure could be affected by this. You can control it right now because it's in the future state. This is a card lacking sort of, what is the word that I'm looking for? Moderation. Thank you, guides. So this can be a trigger for some of you. Stress, euphoria, boredom, any of the above, where you just think, I'm going to go overboard in doing something. So whether it's an addictive behavior or just self-medicating, this is saying, do something else. Occupy your mind, redirect your mind, because that's what this card is really saying, is to kind of like, if we could shift gears in our mind, that's the Ace of Wands. Shift the gear into drive, go in another direction, okay? Some of you need to change up your environment. When I'm looking at what's going on for you, like this is not necessarily, this would be your environment, but this is kind of like a big change in living situation. So either like moving furniture around, redecorating, getting out of a toxic relationship or job, something environmentally needs to shift. And then conversations in general this month, if someone is incapable of supporting you, that needs to change too. Ultimately, things are good, and I didn't get a lot of negative stuff here. The only thing that I would say is that the change is already a little overdue because death was at the center. So some of you may have also had a close brush health call, like with death or something that scared you. For those of you that were able to kind of get past that, celebrate that. That's why we've got the King of Cups on top of that. Overall, I like what I see here, and it looks like you're set up for success because, you know, when we look at possibilities, we have the Three of Pentacles reversed, and then we have the Supreme card in the outcome. Welcome to the new member, and thank you so much for all of the love and support I'm getting with the stickers. I appreciate that, everyone. Okay, looking now at your love, we have the Oracle card, which, what is she? Another High Priestess. It says, wait for important information. I feel like it's already coming in. Like, that's what I said way back at the beginning. The universe speaks in whispers, rather. Subtle communication is happening. Now, the Oracle is in the wealth area of your life. So wealth is your career path, or if you're a student, what you're studying. And if you're retired, it's life purpose or activities in which you're currently sort of engaged. So there's a little bit of patience with this one. What she's saying is, I'm manifesting for you. Keep up the elevated thoughts. It will come through. Now, if you don't get the recognition that you deserve, like let's say within 3 months, Three of Pentacles, 3 months, recognition, then it's time for you to go somewhere where you can find that. So there's a little bit of a time marker on this one. I would give it a quarter of the year, but if you don't see manifesting what you want in that quarter of the year, it's time to change things up. She also has a snake right there. So the power is with you. There are like snakes in every single one of these. This just made me laugh. All right, so let's look at some other messages for career and wealth. If you have a boss or a coworker around you and they are exhibiting the Five of Swords energy, that's particularly problematic. That needs to be dealt with sooner than later. It's not something that you can, it's making you unhappy. And I think that this is the main thing. We can definitely tie a connection between this and this. This is short-term unhappiness because it's near future. This is the environmental cause of it. Someone needs to stop what they're saying. Someone needs to again, if it's a coworker that's doing this, that needs to stop. It could be, it's not necessarily bullying or anything. It's just someone that's not adding to the narrative. They're just negative. So that's the key thing here, is how do you diffuse that? We talked a little bit about it earlier, but I would say you can't argue necessarily with them. You could walk away, you could give them something else to think about, but ultimately you'd have to find a different person to work with. Or if you can't work with someone else, you might have to find somewhere else to work, because we've all been at places where there are sort of like, what's the word that I'm looking for here? But it's kind of like baked into the culture. There are cultural flaws. And if it's in the culture, unless you want to be a trailblazer, it might be better to look elsewhere. Okay. Ultimately, you're supposed to be elevating and doing something even more than what you're doing, which is why some of you feel stuck. So the descent, I only have 2 hands. I wish I was like a Hindu god and I had many hands here. But you have a big idea. I want you to do something with it, because it feels to me like this came from a place of love and light. And many of you are stuck. You're done with what you've started. This can be frustrating because maybe you worked many, many years to build it up, or you just feel like, gosh, I've been doing this for a while. Either try to go even further up, like go through that glass ceiling, or it's okay. A lot of times that final point is anticlimactic. And unless there's something on the horizon, like, retirement in a month or two or a year or two or something, and you can manage that, it's probably time to try something else. And for those of you starting or at the midpoint of your sort of productive work life, then I would say, don't wait. It feels like it's time to make the movement happening. Okay. That's it for wealth. Looking at love, we have Krishna coming through with devotion. It says, trust your spiritual guidance. We just saw the oracle card. It makes sense. Your commitment has been recognized. You are loved unconditionally. He's wearing a peacock here, which is also divine masculine energy. So for many of you, this is what I was talking about earlier, dealing with or healing the divine masculine relationships in your life. And sometimes all you have to do is have the healing happen within you. The other person doesn't have to accept it. You could also just be deciding, like, I'm not going to focus on this anymore. I've got so many other things that I need to deal with. So I see healing happening with respect to that, and I think that's really key. Devotion itself is going to be a really important factor in all types of relationships this month. Can I count on you? Do you have my back? Do you love me? Is this going to be something that is long-reaching? All of those questions are ones that you may be asking about someone else, and I think it's important to figure out where you stand. Let's look at relationships in 3 facets. For those that are in a relationship, for those that might be looking for love, for those that aren't really focused on that but want to understand how relationships in general are going to factor into their life. Now, if you're in a relationship, things are changing or need to change, and it's pretty eminent here because we have the death card. But like I said, this could be really good. Change can be either way, like the tower. It could be marriage or divorce. It could be moving in or moving out, but there's a big shift. There's a little bit of healing that you need to do in existing relationships. So if you've been together for a while, what I'm seeing here are punctuated highs and lows, a big opportunity, and possibly even an argument about what to do with some of the life changes. So you'll have to sort it through. I do see productive energy here with the 3 of Pentacles, and we have the Supreme card showing a higher path and a higher outcome. There is some energy to be dealt with in existing relationships. You could be triggered. There could be a fight. There could be a disagreement. You have to find a way to navigate and put the work in. And that's basically what this is showing. If you're looking for love this month, I think we've got some auspicious symbols coming through for you, including the King of Cups, which to me is saying, yeah, it's time. And if you're ready, I actually see someone that would bring a lot of affection, and there's a lot of chemistry between you, because the Ace of Wands can show like attraction. So I definitely see that attraction here. But are you out of something here? Are you in or are you out is really what death is asking you at the center. So for those of you that might be separated, divorced, or moving on from someone or something, there's still a little bit of rebound energy when you connect the death card with the 3 of Swords. So I definitely see a window opening up. We could have a water sign coming in, but the question is, are you ready for it? Big changes abound. Don't let something trip you up again. And for some of you, work, school, or something else could be pulling you a little bit away from the new relationship opportunities that are stepping in. This could be a really big love if it's new, because High Priestess and Supreme to me look pretty cosmic, look pretty good. Remember that you both have the capacity to see and do amazing things. So there's a kind of nice equal energy with that. If you're not looking for love this month, the interesting dynamic for you is this. We see like drones around the Queen Bee here. So where do you sit in relation to other people, and at work in particular, this is coming through. Are you aware of your capacity to lead? Do you want to lead? Are you being pushed to lead, but you don't want to lead? There's something coming through with work dynamics that I think is going to play a big role. You have a step-up opportunity for those of you that maybe didn't realize that you have more power or leadership qualities than you've had before. Like, it's coming through. Communication and how to communicate your wants and needs, however, are going to be the most challenging thing. But we have growth and expansion right at the top, and we have something that you'd have to walk away from. So communication is going to be the most challenging aspect for those of you that are not looking for love. But you have to work with people this month, no matter what. It's just about who's the boss, who's in charge. That's like the biggest question, I think, when you're looking at existing structures around you. And if you're not looking for love, how do I work with these people? How do I shift through that? Overall, it's pretty good. A little bit of healing across the board. 3 of Swords and 5 of Swords right next to each other. Clearing communication up and healing yourself. Not letting a grudge come into a communication either. I think that's all really key. Okay. Let's take a look now at your destiny card, which is synchronicity. It says, thank you, angels. I trust in your well-timed guidance and signs. We have yin and yang, divine feminine and masculine. And we have 2 different angels here, also kind of like lighter and darker angels. You can see that. So for some of us, there's some shadow integration that's coming through. You could have a challenge popping up where there's a person that you don't quite like, and you're wondering, why is that energy coming through? As I did that, I could feel like whenever if I'm tuned in psychically and my scalp starts to itch, I have no problems with my scalp, but it's energetic. So to me, there's someone in the midst of you that has how do I put this? It's either like the thought process is chaotic, or there's a little bit of obsessive energy, or there's anger. Something in there is kind of like fiery and itching my head. So it's hard sometimes to work with those folks. And I would say, be clear, be honest, repeat what you've said if you need to, because sometimes with those folks, it takes a few times to get it across. So that's what's coming through, is that less is more. Repeating it is important, and then stepping away is necessary too, because we got the 5 of Swords. Unexpected that I would pick that up, but that's one of the things. Now, after you get through that, there will be a synchronicity of a great opportunity. So the test is a person that's a block that comes through and is bothering you. When you get past the block, a synchronicity opens up, and it's going to be good. And for each of you, that synchronicity will be different. It could be a person, place, or thing which you've been trying to or hoping to see in your life, and suddenly all the corridors align. Now, with synchronicity, you want to realize that preparation is a piece of this. So good luck is basically when you've manifested and you're prepared for the manifestation. So don't let that little block pull you off what you've manifested. Okay, that's the message there. All right, so let's do a quick mini review, and then we're going to move on to the soul path. Let me pull out my index card here, and I want to write down a few things. I always like to do a mini audit. Sorry for hitting the camera there. I like to do a mini audit to see what we have and what we don't have. So we have plenty of cups here, the 9 of Cups. We have pentacles, we have swords, and we have wands. So everything's represented. The one thing that I'm not in love with is communication. I want to look a little deeper at how you can deal with, actually, we'll just kind of open it up to 3 and 5 of Swords, and I'll see what the cards show me. So this can be pain, because the 5 of Swords can also be sort of like a different type of pain, having to deal with that. So alleviating pain or discomfort, and then we'll kind of look at communication in connection with all of that. We'll see what the card shows us. And let's see what else I want to focus on for you. With the Ace of Wands and the Supreme card, it feels like, and the synchronicity, how can you be ready? Preparation, that's what we want to look at. Being prepared for the opportunity in front of you. And then we'll do a wild card after that as well. So let's do a mini review, and then we'll move on to the next portion. So your mini review is going to begin with this, your spirit totems. You had 2 today. I've been getting a lot of dual totems lately because just more energy is coming through for everyone. We have the birch tree along with the snake, in particular, that snake that eats its tail, the Ouroboros. Birch trees are recognizable by their bark, which peels off in pieces. There's actually a function to that. As I did a little bit of research, it helps them grow, but it also brings in more light. And it sheds out any of the things that kind of attach to them like barnacles would to a ship. Things like lichen, which basically would sit on the bark and grow. It's almost parasitic. So this tree has developed evolutionary sort of way to clear that, which is to shed its bark and expose some of the inner layers, which are more open to photosynthesis. Particularly for those birches that grow in the Nordic or Scandinavian regions, this is important because there's less, the summers are shorter, and then even in the wintertime, they can photosynthesize. I thought that was kind of fascinating. Okay, like a snake, this process allows the branches to expand over time and grow. And like you, or like this, I would say, you may need to start to shed old beliefs or anything that's holding you or constraining you a little bit, right? So you're at this fork in the road or a precipice, just like the Fool card. And it's sort of like, am I ready to take that next leap? We got the World card here as well. It's time for a paradigm shift. Think bigger. World and Supreme definitely fall in that category. Represents the Ace of Pentacles, which we got here in the form of the egg card. A new seed, a new beginning. We talked a little bit about wands there. The Fool, about like exploration and trying something new. And then also Judgment, or in this case, death, which is, right, judgment's cool because you're rising from the ashes. Death is just showing what the ashes might be. So all of that energy is represented. I saw that there was a tree in my dreams pushing up through an old house in disrepair. For some of you, this can show that there are parts of your life that need to be worked upon, and that growth is going to happen as a part of that. Now is the time to sort of roll up your sleeves and do the work. So don't be afraid. We're looking at like a 3-month sort of period of growth, which would also be supported by the Three of Pentacles. The snake came through as a totem to awaken your inner power, and it really was all across this deck. I didn't know it was going to be here, but it was. It's a chance for you to connect to strength, to power. It's a symbol of rebirth and immortality. It's a symbol of transformation. It's a symbol of growth and expansion. And it reminds us that we are a driving creative force. We're connected to that divine force. The Ouroboros, which is Greek for tail eater, has an origin in a lot of world mythologies and religions. From Nordic mythology, the tree, I'm sorry, not the world tree, but the world serpent. Also the tomb of King Tut, it was there, describing a journey of Ra into the underworld. It was a protective symbol there. It can also be Kundalini awakening. All of these are symbols of power and strength and protection, which we just talked about. You control your own cycles, your own destiny. That's why the world is here. She's learned all the lessons when she becomes the world card. Make sure that you're moving forward, that you're not sort of simply consuming your own energy or working in a cycle, okay? Uncoil your true potential and try something new in your life. Amen to that. When you speak, say things you would like to hear back to you. If it's not elevated, don't say it. And that's why we got the 5 of Swords coming through there, because you have to eat your words. Flexibility is a necessity. I wouldn't say just necessary. It's a necessity. Something importance coming through that's going to kind of like push your flexibility. The winding path can be more fun in the long run. It's like a hike. You sometimes want to take a long hike to just enjoy the scenery. Keep your eyes and ears open. Things may be moving around you unseen. You've got to kind of tap into that. Shine your light, your insight, your strength, and your power, especially during periods like that. And you can meet any challenge that comes your way. I saw both a celebration and an awake. So we really saw the combination of that here at the center. But let me first summarize again. Here we have like an Ace of Pentacles with the egg. We have the power symbol here with the Ouroboros. But we also have someone that might want what you have. So you have to just protect yourself and protect those that you love. It's also a reminder not to be jealous, but to be inspired. And then we have the end cycle to something, which brings you to this. It reminds you again, you are immortal. Whatever you're going through, there's going to be a cycle of birth that follows it. So death and awake, a celebration, new love coming in for many of you that is kind of dependent on communication and healing to happen in your life first, because otherwise it gets messy. A little bit of a push here for you to focus on balancing your energy. So if you're feeling high or low, to find something in the middle, not to give in to extremes, to moderate, not to self-medicate. All of those things are a part of this. And for those of you that are recovering perfectionists, to give yourself a break. We have a lot of energy around intuition coming through with High Priestess and Oracle. Listen to what you're being told to do when it comes to work. So High Priestess was represented again in work or career or life purpose, or for those of you that are retired, whatever you're doing with your time, there's a calling for you. Answer the calling. It's a great calling here because we have the Supreme card, higher path, higher purpose. But you have to do something with it. You have to take action in order to see growth come forth. The Three of Swords here, a necessary challenge or healing that has to happen this month before the expansion, before the recognition sets in. There's also a necessary piece of getting out of something toxic when it comes to communication cycles in your life. Ultimately, though, we see growth and expansion, and we see something really big on the horizon. Big idea, big excitement around that as well. Grounding yourself in general is going to be important. Focus on lower chakras in your body, giving a little bit of love to everything from the hips and below, just making sure that that part of your body is supported. Other things with respect to health include managing stress, managing going to extremes, looking at your prescriptions, talking to your doctor, making sure that if there's any problems with that, that gets sorted out as well. But overall, I like what I'm seeing here. Looking at career, there's a big shift, or life purpose, there's a big shift with the Oracle card. We see a 3-month period of waiting for manifestation. You could tell the universe, I want to see it faster. You certainly don't have to wait 3 months, but if it hasn't happened within that period, something needs to shift, or you're waiting too long at that point and it's time to move on. Some of you just aren't happy. You definitely have support and permission to send out a resume or something like that, because I see higher potential here. We've got the Queen Bee. You're not a worker. You're the queen. All right. And then in relationships, we have devotion. Where do you stand? That's really the question that you're asking. If somebody says that they don't want you in your life, respect that, because there's something bigger waiting. And sometimes rejection is difficult to take, but it can also be elevating you to something higher. The universe always has your best interest at heart, even when you don't get what you want, especially when you don't get what you want. There's probably something elevated here. And again, in this Supreme card, we see both improvement with your own sort of purpose here with the Three of Pentacles and recognition, and then also love. So don't slam down a door. Don't force one down. Create a new one. Go somewhere else. Make your own. A queen bee can kind of create her own hive. So you don't have to force something through in a relationship. It's not going to work. That's not effective. If you're in love, communication is key. One partner's doing some rapid expansion. You're expanding on that wave, but maybe you don't want to move. Maybe you're working on your own thing. There's a challenge at hand for existing relationships with general sort of opportunity and then also communication. In new relationships, you better heal first before you get too deep into this. Otherwise, the King of Cups will feel overwhelming and you're going to go into this like Nine of Cups energy and not know what to do with it. If you're not looking for love, there's something about recognition that's popping up with people around you. Do you recognize your strengths? Because if you can't, others won't. If you recognize it, but people around you are still having a hard time, it could be because of something that's baked into the society or the institution, and it's time to break free of that. Finally, synchronicities. There's going to be one little challenge that pops up for many of you this month that could make you question, did I do something wrong? You haven't. It's just like a final test. And I've been getting this sometimes with Seven of Pentacles. For you, the synchronicity has a combination of light and dark energy. So there's something there to be sorted out. All right, soul path time. For the soul path, I wrote down a couple of notes here. The first one is I wanted to focus on alleviating pain or discomfort and helping communication. We want to look at the swords, basically 3 and 5 of swords. Why did they come through? And what can you do about them? What can you do to heal, to elevate, to alleviate pain? You got the Tower. Okay, so it's time to move on, but the Tower is reversed. And this is, whenever the Tower is in reverse, it's basically saying, I know what needs to happen, and I'm not going to wait for the Tower to happen, or I realize that it's already like one step away from happening. Therefore, I'm going to take an active role in the change. So I talked earlier this month, I'm trying to remember which reading it was. Was it Libra? I can't remember who had the lightning representative in the totem, but lightning I saw like Zeus holding. So I'm going to give a similar message for you, which is be the one that's throwing the bolt of lightning. Don't be the recipient of the lightning. And that's the difference in a very visual way between Tower upright. We see the lightning in the background hitting the building versus you're deciding what to dismantle in your life. Okay. So something needs to be dismantled, and it could require a difficult conversation. If the person's not receptive to it, it doesn't stop the fact that you're going to make a change. You don't need necessarily, permission or support to make the necessary change. It's nice to have, but you don't need it. And that's really what this is saying. As long as you are confident and comfortable in the change that you need to make, go right ahead and do it, okay? Because it's going to happen. There's going to be things that are already in motion. I saw the house in disrepair. I don't know why I didn't see that as the tower. That was the tower. But it was after the tower had hit, because I didn't see the strike of lightning. So it's happening, and you're going to push through that. You're going to grow just fine, because I saw the tree moving through the tower. I didn't realize it until later. Sometimes this is what's fun with dream symbols. You have to write them down and think about them from different angles. And later, even if you are really adept at it, things will pop through. So I saw the tower. So something's already fallen apart. You just have to decide what to do about it now, okay? And yes, it can be a move. It's a good move. For those of you that are moving, good on you, because we have the Ace of Wands at the top. Great idea, great timing. Even if it's a little messy, this is the time. It's going to move you to bigger, better, higher things. The bonus card in this deck is called the Supreme for a reason. I also get a kick out of the fact that we have the Supreme and then we have like the backup band right here. So I would say for many of you, you're stepping into something better, and I like the community around you. You're going to have more support in the long run. All right. So let's move on to the next message, preparation. How can we be prepared for the change that awaits you? All right, so we have the Four of Pentacles. Interesting. Sometimes we limit ourselves because we're afraid of what's possible. So this is reminding you not to hold back, not to limit yourself. That if there was something in your past that somehow you just didn't get the support that you needed, you didn't get the encouragement you needed, it's okay, you have what it takes. I see some insecurity that's coming in because of this fear of, will this be all that I have? If I let this go, because we got death at the center, if I let this go, is that as good as it gets? No. And it's already something that needs to sort of cycle out of your life. This can also be foundational. If I look at, like, I have a deck, the Sun and Moon, and I think even in the Thoth deck, you would see this is a foundational element. So we can imagine that the tower has blasted away what you don't need. And now you're taking the pieces and putting pillars in that are going to grow better things. So be resourceful. A message here that I need to kind of tell you with respect to preparation, particularly if it has to do with contract negotiation. Don't sell yourself short. The Four of Pentacles is it's too short. You're selling yourself too short, or you're giving away too much. If you have a business that's not for profit, you're not even covering costs with this one. That would be the example. And if you're getting paid, you're doing so much more that you're burning out. And if you are trying to give away services or be kind, it's so much that you can't continue. It's not sustainable. Something's not sustainable. We need a little bit more for sustainability. So either lean on others, accept resources, or find a grant or find support or something from others. Open up the resources. That's what I see. You can do more if you accept more and if you ask for more. You've got to do a combination probably of the two, because that would get us to 5 and 6, which would be a little bit better. I really want to see you at 6, 8, 9, or 10, because those are like sweet spots with pentacles here. You've got the 3. It's just I think you've got to own what you have. So 4, 5, 6, 7. If I take the 4 of Pentacles and put it with the 3 of Pentacles, I see growth and recovery with 7. I add things in tarot because it shows potential. It's numerology. It doesn't matter. So when I add the 2 together, I got a lucky 7. So I think that's good. You can make this work. All right. It's a period of growth for you, but you have to ask for more or accept a little bit of help. There's some stubbornness there that might be setting in, and that will help you prepare for the opportunity in front of you. Now let's take a look at your wild card. The wild card is anything that we haven't talked about that you need to know for success, for happiness, for growth. Okay, we have 10 of Swords here. So the 10 of Swords is really interesting because a lot of times readers will, I don't freak out. I think it's actually okay. It tells me that it's time for something better. Notice how we have a little butterfly in the corner, and we also see a dawning of a new day. So for many of you, the best is yet to come. Let's put it that way. And all you have to do is decide that you're tired of something in your life. This can just be an acknowledgement of no more pain. There's a certain deck that I just bought a new one. It's called Modern Witch. I don't work with the card because I like to just see the traditional 10 of Swords in the deck. but I think they put a bonus one in that one that says everything's okay. And I kind of like that because the Ten of Swords is telling us that it's going to be better. It's going to get better. So whatever challenge you might be going through at this moment, we see a new day dawning. We see a little butterfly in the corner saying, you've transformed, you've changed. How many more symbols of change could we have between the birch tree and the snake? Shedding a skin. So this is one last thing that you need to shed. For those of you that might be going through a lot, this is basically what happens if you hold on to the Ten of Wands too long. It's a burnout. So I want you to pay attention to emotionally what your burden is, what you're carrying, and then specifically in the back, is there any pain that you're holding on to? I just recently got a chiropractic adjustment this week, first time in like a year and a half because of COVID. Oh my God, it's amazing. Like I noticed not only an improvement in my general health, but like things in my life got better because we have, if that's not in alignment, it's like the tower. Things can't, you're on a house of cards. So take care of your emotional self, take care of your physical self, and you're going to be okay. She's not actually dead in this card. She's just like, woe is me, I'm done with this. And the swords are a symbol of the pain and the pain in the back, pain in the butt maybe too. So whatever it is, you're going to be okay. All right. Let me quickly summarize your soul path, which had a lot more kind of like interesting energy in it. And then we'll do a meditation to heal. I definitely think we need to heal. And then I'm going to focus on your final card. So stick around because you can ask me a question. Someone asked earlier, do I do a free reading? Yeah, that's going to be it right there at the end. So you can get an extra question in. All right, so let's look at the cards that came through. So I was asking about the communication issues that were popping up and also just how to deal with the swords. Well, the truth of the matter, just like what we saw earlier, was that you're already pushing through a tower moment. The house in disrepair. What do we have? A White House here. But the house in disrepair was just that. I just didn't put it together in my head, and I saw a tree sprouting through the center of it. So there's a new growth opportunity that's happening. So for many of you now, there's just a need to take control. You could look at this as like a magician or a wizard or sorceress saying, this is what I want to do, right? And you're going to make something happen, something positive from this. Then I saw, what can you do to be prepared for opportunities on the horizon? Not selling yourself short, accepting or asking for resources are really key. And not feeling like what you have is everything. There's more to come. The best is yet to come. And ironically, that's what this particular Ten of Swords is reminding us. Yeah, it's a little uncomfortable in this moment in time, but what you're going through is going to help you get to that next level. What you need to do right now is, at this point, how you transmute the Ten of Swords is, it's like that old 70s song, Enough is Enough. No more tears. You're going to decide, I am ready now to step into, I want more. I want to be happy. You deserve to be happy. I want you to be happy. And if someone in your life will not allow you to be that happy you, that's not the place to be. That's not the happy person. That's not the happy you. So choose happiness, choose success, choose that elevated energy this month by actively saying what you want, by asking for more, demanding a little bit more, expecting a little bit more, and then stepping away from people that won't allow that. Okay. Ultimately, it's pretty good. These were the sort of things in your soul and in your head that were kind of dragging you down just a little bit. All right. So thank you so much for the nice comments and the support. I appreciate it. We're going to do a meditation now. I want to help you with this healing. Hold on to your question that you have for me. Think about what your question is, whether it's career or finding your voice or what, and we'll look at that in just a second. For those of you that have just joined, you joined at a great part because, like I said, I'm going to answer a question at the end. If you haven't already hit the thumbs up, please do it right now before we meditate, because if you're like me, you forget to do that. It helps. You can only do it once, but it helps a lot. Hit the subscribe button as well if you like to stay in touch. It's the equivalent of follow. It'll just allow you to be able to see what I do here on the channel. Thank you to everybody that's done a super chat in the interim here. One more thing before we meditate, just because, again, our mind goes out somewhere else. Follow me on social media if you haven't already. It's a great way to make sure that if you miss the notifications here on YouTube, you won't elsewhere. I put links to the stories on Instagram and Facebook, so you can actually go straight to the video the day that I give that, or you can set a reminder. And on the YouTube community tab, I will post a copy of all these cards that I write. Same thing on Instagram, Facebook, and my website. Okay. So there you go. Patreon is another way that you can give back if you don't want to subscribe and become a channel member here. The membership's kind of cool, by the way. If you want to know what it entails For $4.99, you're basically supporting everything that I do here. You get a little bit of inside access and you can affect the bonus reading. And it boils down to like, I don't know, 30 cents or 40 cents of a reading that I do here because I do a bunch. So it's a nice small way to show support. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at your meditation. I want to work with healing. I want to pay special attention to the back since we got the 10 of Swords and this feeling of working through pain. I'm looking for the most kind of like inspirational image here that I see. I want to imagine that we're kind of like a tree that's pushing through the ground. We could like be the birch tree that I talked about earlier, but let's imagine that there's been a clearing, that you are sitting in this open field where there was something that was torn down. There was a house, there was a building, there was something, and now it's just freshly turned over ground. So you've set out a little blanket to sit down. And imagine now that around you in this fertile soil, you're going to plant seeds for the future. New love, new work, new opportunities, new sense of fulfillment, etc. All of these things are being placed in your vicinity. And what we're going to do is you can imagine that you're bringing in rain or sun or energy, and you're going to feed all of these opportunities in the garden of your future. And in the process of doing that, the beautiful green energy that's emanating from your heart and also from these things that are popping through the soil, it's going to bring into your auric field a sense of, there's the tower in the background saying, are you sure? Yes, we're sure. It's going to bring in your auric field a sense of love, abundance, and healing. And just like that, we're going to have one moment where the universe is like, are you sure? And in that moment, you're going to say, yes, I'm sure, and I'm ready to receive, okay? So focus on the color green. See your heart emanate with that. See it spread through your auric field. Imagine that you're even creating this beautiful green shield of energy around you. And then see that also move into the ground and see your dreams take growth and take flight. For those of you that would like to receive a little extra healing, imagine that a butterfly is coming through as these new flowers and trees start to come forth and it's pollinating. And you can imagine one or more of those aligns to the point of pain on your back or in your heart or in your mind where you need it. And the butterfly will just sit there and it's going to move its wings and it's gently going to take the pain out. Okay? Close your eyes. We'll meditate for 1 minute and then we'll look at your final question. I'd like you to take a moment and put your hands on the ground. Feel the connection to the earth that you've created here. Feel that you've actually affected the shifting and the movement of opportunity that's on the horizon. That maybe instead of 3 months, it might be 3 weeks or 3 days or 3 hours. You can start to feel that changing it's already happening. It's already starting to show up in your life. And tell yourself, I'm ready for abundance. I'm ready for wealth. I'm ready for health. I'm ready for happiness. I'm especially ready for opportunities that support the aforementioned. Take your hands, pull them together, seal this promise in your heart, work on it a little bit every day, and start to feel that you are moving in the right direction. I'd like you now to shift focus to what your question is that you have for me. Anything that's on your mind, think about it. It should be about you, something that you want to create in your life, something that you're trying to figure out. It could be someone that you're trying to sort out as well, but make it about you and something that you're trying to get clarity on. And let's see what the message is for you. We've got the Son of Wands, which is also the Knight of Wands. I love it. This would be a yes. So if it was a yes, no answer, this would definitely be a yes. One of the things that you want to think about with this is taking demonstrative action. So like a knight of swords instead would probably be talking about it, would be there would be some action as well. But what this is really about is doing the work and also evolving even what you've started to think about earlier and bringing that to the next phase. So taking it from planning to research and execution, and also leading by example. There's a lot of nonverbal leadership that comes through with wands. It's walking the walk, not just talking the talk. So I like what I see with this. Let's see if there's any other elements that are coming through for this. Okay, so it's not always easy. We see him on top of what, a rhinoceros here? I would imagine that's not an effective animal to try to be riding. And also there might be some stubbornness here. You see him kind of like trying to kind of go his own way. I would say for many of you, there's going to be a little bit of a power struggle. For some of you, it could even be about owning or believing that you have the right or the capacity to do something, but you do based on everything that I've seen. This is another message about not selling yourself short. I definitely see a lot of leadership potential for you this month, and this is the time to bring something forth, okay? I feel good about this. So I see positive movement. It has to happen in here, around you, and also with your communication. But the Knight of Wands is going to show up and show that he feels that the change has happened, that things are possible. Seeing, believing, and doing it. It's all part of that card. But there could be someone around you that is a little bit difficult to rally support of or to cooperate with. That could be the challenge that we saw a little bit earlier. Ultimately, your cards looked really, really great today. A necessary change that is going to bring about important growth. Understanding that you deserve more and that you're willing and ready to accept and demand a little bit more. Choosing happiness on the horizon. Enough is enough. Pain doesn't equal strength. It can make us stronger. It can give us more context, but we don't have to choose a path of pain to be a strong or spiritual person. And then ultimately moving in that direction, mentally and physically. Moving, of course, being a big piece of that with the Tower and also with the World card. And also with the Death card. Big changes on the horizon for you. Big changes. But I'm excited for you overall, okay? What a great reading today. What powerful messages came through with the birch tree and the snake and the Death card and the World card and the Tower, like big shifts. A High Priestess, Supreme card, the Oracle, like all I see is change and a lot of movement for you. So I hope you're looking forward to it, and I hope you don't feel limited in any capacity, because I don't see it, certainly not from what I saw here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to be back again on the weekend. I'll be back on Sunday, and let's see, I'll be reading for Capricorn. I have that link on my main page. I did that before I went live today, and I'll put the other two up next week. So we would be doing, let's see, probably Aquarius on Monday and Pisces towards the end of the week. And then I have a couple of collective readings that are coming up. If I have a chance, I'll paste those out here at the end. Just a quick note that, again, if you want to stay in touch, please feel free to follow me on social media at Nicholas Ashbaugh, with exception to Twitter, where I'm at @Ashbaugh. You can go to my pinned comment above to find the links. If you happen to be watching this after it's live on replay, you can also use the applaud button, and it's right by the share button. And that's a great way to give back. And a lot of you have been doing that, so thank you. I saw also, while I was meditating, there were a couple of really nice comments and stickers. So thank you so much from both of you that did that. I'll read those later, and I appreciate it. If you'd like to show a different level of support, I also have a book for those of you that are sci-fi or fantasy geeks. This would be a lot like Lord of the Rings or A Wrinkle in Time. It's called The Luminous Ones. The paperback's on sale in the United States right now for, both of them are on sale actually for like 30% off or something. So for US folks, you should take a look at it. It is a little cheaper than it normally is. I don't control that, but there is a sale right now. One last note, please, before you sign off, hit the thumbs up once, it helps. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Also, if you watch this on replay or you like what you saw today, when this is available for replay, share it. There's a share button at the bottom, and put it on Twitter, social media, etc. You can retweet or share some of my stuff on social media so people can find this. You guys have been great ways for me to connect to a new audience. All right, everyone. Lots of love and light to you. Take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself during this process of change. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. Find your grounding. That's something we saw more than once coming through. Thank you, Maria, for your help in moderating today. Be well, everyone. Have a fantastic weekend ahead. And again, I'll see you on Sunday and look forward to that. Let me see if before I sign off, I'll post the links here too. I'm just going to give you the schedule link because everything that you need is on the schedule link. So let me see here if I can find it. Here's the schedule. So here's a link to my schedule, and you can find what you need there. Also, I do a monthly newsletter. So if you haven't signed up for that, there's a link to that. And also for social media, if you want to follow me, I do some shorts on Instagram and also on TikTok. So you can follow me on social media. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks again, and be well. Bye-bye.